I'm here.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, where we focus in on God, family, and country. Super excited to be here live with everybody who's on YouTube, Facebook, and our Facebook page, our Facebook group. We're excited to have you and participate with you tonight. Tonight, we're going to, we have a special guest with us. We just did an interview with Chris on the Be Prepared Expo. He's heading that off this June 2nd and 3rd. The last episode we did was all about that. So you guys are probably, those of you on the live are going to have to wait. And those of you who are listening on the podcast have already heard it. And so you'll know all about that event coming up on June 2nd and 3rd. Super excited for that. Today we're excited because we did get to 1,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel.
Woohoo! Thank you, listeners.
Thank you so much. YouTube. So speaking of that, right now, if you're on YouTube, hit the like button, please, and that'll push it out to the algorithm so that people know that this is a live that's worth jumping on. Because of that 1,000, we promised that we would do a giveaway of a Jace medical case. If you don't win the Jace medical case, please go and get one anyways, because you're going to want to have this in your medical supplies. It's worth it to have it in your medical supplies. If you're concerned about any type of antibiotic issues or the need for antibiotics coming up, it's great to have. Now, we also highly recommend that you get to know herbs and other things that are also additional things that you should have in your medicine cabinet. However, until you can get good at herbs, you have antibiotics available to you. Also,
Speaking of which, get the book from Nicole Appelian.
Which I just
got. Probably your best medicinal herb book out there. It is the Lost Book of Ancient Remedies.
Yeah, I got it.
Everybody's showcasing theirs except for me. I told everybody about it, and they went and bought it, and I'm like, it's still saving up.
It's been popping up on everybody's Facebook feed for months now. I think everybody's seen it here. She's awesome. Quite popular nowadays.
She is, and she's just a fantastic person. I love Nicole. We've interviewed her on prior podcasts. If you guys want to go back and listen, she's just a kind and wonderful person. She was also on season, 3 and 6 of Alone. So she is tough as they get. Watching her talk to a bear, she's like, "Hi, bear," and I'm like, "It's eating all your food." And she's super calm. Like, I'm just like, "How do you?" I'd be like, "No, get out of here, bear!" Like, what are you doing? She's just like, "Oh, hi, bear." She's amazing.
Awesome. Go to our one of the places. Marcy's asking about the links, sharing some links. One of the places you can definitely go is preppertalkradio.com and go to our links there. We also have an Amazon store that we're going to be listing. We're putting listings up there as we can to be able to, like, I bought my book, Lost Herbal Remedies, off of, I think I bought mine off of Amazon. Or maybe I bought it off Nicole's site, because Nicole has a little funnel where you can get extra stuff if you buy it off of her site. But if you go to Amazon.
I got sucked in.
You did? You bought a couple extra stuff?
I bought everything. Everything.
Go to Amazon.com /shop /Prepper Talk Radio. Is that right, Scott? Did I say that right? Well, it'll be in the description.
It's linked below.
Yeah, it'll be in the link below. Please don't. Marcy will get links in below once we get this posted. And I get a chance to put it up there. I'll put all the links in the description. You can come back and look it up. But we definitely have that. Also, we were going to give away, and Shane's been holding on to this thing forever. He's going to have to finally give it off to somebody, the 5-ounce silver bar. So we are super excited about the 5-ounce silver bar giveaway. So the rules were that you had to be in our YouTube, pardon me, in our Facebook group. And so we went in there and we thought we could download the names, but we're manually going through and getting the names onto a spreadsheet. So we were hoping to be able to do the giveaway tonight on the live, which we will probably have to do at the end.
At the end,
okay,
because
cool.
we didn't get it done before the show started. So Scott's assuring us that we'll be able to get it done by the end of the show.
The old method to download everything off YouTube and Facebook no longer works. So I had to go with the tried and true copy and paste all the way through. And we're just cleaning up that list. So we've taken everybody that's in the group, everybody that's following on YouTube, and here's how we're going to roll it down. You have to be selected from our randomizer that we're going to use, a web app randomizer, to tell us who wins. Then you've got to let us know in the group, show us that you're following both pages, and then we will send you the link to be able to redeem your reward. Or if it's the silver, we'll just have you do a DM with us. We'll contact each other back and forth, get your address to send that over. So it's very simple. But if nobody comes forward, we're going to have to raffle these off again. So you've got, should we do 7 days?
To the next live. If you don't claim it by the first live,
if you don't claim it by the next live, it's going back out. So disclaimer, you may have won, but did you really?
Yeah.
Pay attention.
Did you really win? So today, I mean, there's a lot of things. Backroads has already thrown up some stuff in our comments about things that are going on in the news. And so please be aware of what's happening in the world. There's some things happening with, as he said, Chinese spy balloons, Palestine, Ohio. We got food processing plants getting blown up. We got cattle ranches going the wrong direction. We got different things. We did an episode a couple of weeks ago, last week, or by the time you're listening to this, it was a couple episodes ago, where we talked about the food supply and things happening there. So there's definitely a lot happening to your to the world right now. So we're going to talk about today. Today we're going to talk about, because we have our special guest, Chris. He stayed with us. He stayed in the studio with us, his studio, and he's coming to us live from. You're in northern Utah. I got it right this podcast.
Right.
Last podcast I said Northern California, which is a faux pas major report.
I had a cardiac arrest,
He almost got kicked off the podcast.
Yeah.
Just because I repented. I repented this podcast. But tell us a little bit, Chris. Your shop is in. Where's your shop? What do you offer? And
we're up in the. I've got a little gun shop here. It's called Guns Ammo Preparedness, up here in the Weber County Sports Shooting Complex. So I'm inside the range. We've got up here. It's owned by the county. We've got a 50-yard range and a 300-yard range, and my shop's in the 50-yard range, where we sell obviously guns, ammunition, and everything emergency preparedness. But you know, we're a small shop, but you know, we can, if you need it, we can get it.
Nice. Today we're going to talk about, we might be on a bunch of rabbit trails or a bunch of squirrel trails, but our goal today is to talk about bugging in and things that we can do as preppers during the summer months to be prepared and ready during heat and other things like that. So that's going to be the focus, but I want to give Chris a minute to just do a quick commercial for the Be Prepared Expo. Give us a quick commercial for the Be Prepared Expo, June 2nd and 3rd in Farmington, Utah.
Getting ready for the summer. My name's, as you said, Chris Turpina. I own and run the Be Prepared Expo. It's going to be in Farmington, Utah, this Friday, June 2nd and Saturday, June 3rd. We have tons of booths, and we're going to have like 60 plus classes that people can attend. We have something for everybody. If you're a beginner, we've got something for you. Just starting out. If you're the crazy uncle up in the Uenas on Saturdays, we've got something for you too. So we want to encourage everyone to come out June 2nd and 3rd at the Legacy Event Center in Farmington, Utah. You can get your tickets at bepreparedexpo.com.
Yep, it's not the Be Prepared Expo. It's just bepreparedexpo.com.
Bepreparedexpo.com.
And we'll have links. We'll have a link in the description below once this thing goes live as well. So if you missed that, go to our Prepper Talk Radio and .com, and we'll have all kinds of stuff. If you're in our Facebook group, we'll be announcing it, putting it up on our page as well. So that's awesome. So this coming up in summertime, it's hot. It can be hot. what are some things as we also consider bugging in? Right now, we've had so much craziness is happening in the world. It's kind of like we feel like we should hunker in. Shane and Scott and I were talking about it before we brought Chris in earlier. That right now and Chris, you mentioned it too. Like hunkering in and hunkering down is kind of a really big thing right now. But then also, like, how can we be prepared for during the summer months, and what are some things we can do? I think it's a great opportunity for us to go camping or go try some of the skills. Learn how to build a fire, go get outside, learn how to, filter water at some of the streams. So there's going to be plenty of water in certain areas after that snowpack. So you're going to have a chance to go learn how to gather water, filter water, find water, go practice some of the skills. Now that it's summertime, now that it's kind of spring, heading into summer, I think it's a good time to practice skills. What do you guys think?
Well, one thing I wanted to point out is this last week we had, and this is maybe a little off topic, but I'll tie it back in. Trust me. There was a solar storm. I don't know if you heard about the solar storm.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
It was a direct hit of the Earth of a CME. It was a smaller CME, right? It wasn't very big, but it did cause the northern lights to come all the way down into Utah County. Well, into Utah, not necessarily Utah County, but into northern Utah.
Well, what's interesting is it actually showed that it could go all the way down into Texas and Florida if you had the visibility. Mm-hmm. And I saw pictures coming in from southern Arizona.
Wow.
So I don't know if anyone further than that saw it, but wow. I mean, northern Arizona. So wow, like there's we didn't get to see any because we had cloud cover where we were exactly, but just north of us in Clinton, Utah, there were from friends of ours that were posting pictures. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I missed it. I tried. I really tried.
Yeah. From what I saw, even some people that couldn't necessarily see it in a city where there's a lot of lights were actually able to capture it with an extended timer on a camera. So extended shutter release on a camera. So long exposure on a camera. They're able to catch some of those northern lights, right. Which I would have tried that if I had thought about that, but I guess what I'm getting around to is like Paris was saying, things are different, things are weird. Yes, have we seen this before? Yeah, but probably not in 40 years, not in my lifetime. I've never heard about it, but then again, I didn't pay as much attention. Wait, you're 50. Well, yes, but I'm 50. But obviously, I was asleep when I was a kid. I didn't pay attention to any of these kinds of things. But to me, that just reminds me of how sensitive we can be to what happens from the sun, right? We've heard a lot about potential blackouts this summer. Now imagine a summer blackout without power and you're living in Phoenix, right? You're living in Las Vegas. That's when it's time to bug out. See how I tied that in? See that worked?
You did. Yeah, nice. You did it. You're good.
I had a friend talk to me about the Northern Lights, right? That we were able to see here in Utah. Although it was really cool, not really cool. From my physics background, way back in the dinosaur ages when I went to college, that's it's really cool to see, but not really cool to see down here. And that just
nothing
shows
like being up north.
Yeah, it shows the power of the sun, and you could, if it was a huge flare, then we wouldn't be talking today. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the reason we're able to see it this far south is, it wasn't a huge flare, but the Earth's magnetic field continues to weaken, and that's part of the sign of the times. If you guys are familiar with, and we had suspicious observers, trying to think of his name. Scott, what was his name? Ben, yes. From suspicious observers, he reports on this every day. I highly recommend you guys go check him out and listen to him. He does his space weather forecast every day, and he's a great guy. We met him. He came down to PrepperCon the first year or second year, and he was he was great. So good information channel there.
I mean, one of the big problems, we've had this even asked in our Facebook group, what is the reality of, or the probability of an EMP? Well, we know there's a couple reasons to have an EMP, or ways EMPs can carry out, is one through nuclear warheads going off, or a coronal mass ejection, which is the CME that you're talking about. And that you get a big enough one of those, and that could just short some circuits, and now we're out of power.
Absolutely.
That's a
Well,
big thing to
interesting
worry
thing
about.
is most people don't understand what can cause an EMP. And they also don't know how impacting an EMP is going to be, because there's so many aspects to it that we just, as this random citizen, we all just know what we see in books, in movies, in TV, right? The scenarios as they're played out. I actually listened to a podcast that actually had a I'm trying to remember his name. He was a Air Force intelligence officer, and his job was to actually track these things to see if there was going to be any concern. And so he was studying this stuff all the time, and he actually talked about how the biggest impact is if we have a cyber attack followed by an EMP. The whole point of a cyber attack is to knock out communications, and EMP is to keep them knocked out, so you can't report on anything. He says that's the most concerning scenario. But a nuke at any level can cause an EMP. That's the number one thing that hits first. And so a high level nuke is a concern. Worry less about low level nukes, but worry more about high level nukes. So shielding can protect your electronics, but he's like, if you can, go get old stuff while you can.
Right. Analog.
The older the better.
Vacuum tubes.
Everything with the smart circuits. I mean, you just think of your Samsung, dishwasher, or your Samsung fridge. They go out and, I don't know, the toaster goes off and those things seem to break, right? An EMP hits, it's all going to fry. Your little iPhone, your Android, they're not going to work. Your high-tech radios, not going to work unless they're very, 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 very well shielded, or you're out of the range of that EMP. So it's like, there's so many different scenarios. And to Sir Charles, the third question, is there different types of EMPs? What you see in TV, most of the time, TVs, movies are talking about a specific electromagnetic pulse. And it's basically just they show them as like either a small item that'll knock everything out in 15 meters. And then you've seen like, what is it? Not Oceans 13 or 14.
Oceans 11 or 12 or whatever. Yeah.
I think it was 12, I think, or 13. And they have a larger one, or maybe it's 11, but they have a larger one, right, that takes out a whole city. It's all based on the altitude, and they can detonate any type of bomb nowadays at any level. So if a rocket gets sent from, let's just say, our sweet dear friends over in Korea get something far enough out to come to the United States, right? They're just so rocket excited right now. That could, depending on the altitude, have a different effect. The lower it is, the smaller the effect. The higher it is, the larger the effect. But then there's also the consideration of how many megatons, what's the size of the detonation, what's the payload capacity. That's the other factor.
Yeah, the EMP will propagate just like when you're dropping a rock into the lake, right? And so the closer the rock is to you, the less it can spread out. But Scott was saying, the higher it is, the wider the range it can hit.
Yep.
I like Utah Mike's answer here. There's three types of EMPs: bad, worse, and O-ish.
Yeah, it's all the same effect, regardless of how it gets here, right? Whether it's from the sun or from a nuclear blast or whatever. But and I guess I went that way to kind of think about, okay, what would we do if we didn't have power, in the summer months? We're talking a little bit about bugging in, talk a little bit about summer coming up. How do you stay cool, especially if you're in a place where you don't have a basement, right? If you're in, it seems like in most of Arizona, they don't have basements for the most part. I mean, I'm generalizing, right? But so typically, here, you want a nice cool place, you go down to the basement. Even in the hottest of summer, it's a nice place to get away. But if you're in a more arid climate, I would say you got to figure out how to stay cool, right? And to stay cool, you got to have water. How are you going to get water, especially when there's no power? So it really complicates things when you're in a very arid, dry, hot climate like that.
Well, I think a lot of people have to worry, and this is a real thing because it happened last year, that especially for those poor people that still remain in the state that I escaped from in California, they had rolling blackouts.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you lived in an area where that day the grid was too much, they would shut you down for a couple hours, and then you'd have to be able to survive for however long that was. And hopefully you had the preparations and ready to go. But this whole idea for me, I mean, I've done a little bit of research, and my dad has done a lot of research, and he shares research with me, but I'm just nervous about these this laws that they have about putting more strain on the grid with electric vehicles and all going electric stove and everything electric. If the grid can't support it now and you're having rolling blackouts, what are these going to happen when you start having, more and more people with electric vehicles and other things that are going to be, what is the strain going to be on the grid then? Especially as you're getting rid of nuclear power or fossil fuel power and putting it into, electric wind and everything. They just don't, you can't.
Well,
can't
Germany even shut down. I hear they shut down even 3 more nuclear power plants, even with the power issues they're having right now. They just went ahead and just shut them down. I mean, this is a whole nother topic we can get onto. Conspiracy and so forth. But this is, in my opinion, this is all on purpose, right? Let's get them hooked on and reliant on electricity power as much as possible, and then let's shut it down. Right, then let's make it cost a lot, and you can't afford it, and so we rely more on the powers that be to survive. But like Mike was saying, okay, yeah, if you got a pool, you jump in the pool. I've even heard it gets so hot in Arizona that pools get too hot and it doesn't do any good, right? It's just hot water you're jumping into.
Thank goodness I don't live in Arizona.
You won't find me there. But it is great that here in the West, it is dry, and so the our swamp coolers will work very nicely with a humid environment. Yeah, that's a whole nother struggle. So if you live there, you obviously know what to do. We'd love to hear what you do.
One of the things that I learned in the South, thanks to serving a 2-year mission in Florida, is one of the ways they used to keep the homes cool before central air, before swamp coolers, was to get their curtains wet. Open all the windows and keep the curtains in front of the windows, because it would still create a breeze. And if the breeze would pull through those, it would cool off. But it also, if it wasn't windy or breezy, it would evaporate that extra moisture off those curtains and cool what's inside the home. It's the same. It's amazing. It's the same. I don't know. Have you guys ever seen those terracotta pot refrigerators? You basically take one big pot and you put all your food in a small pot, put a little bit of sand at the bottom, put your food in that small pot, put that small pot in, and then pack sand all the way around the difference between those two containers, and then fill it with water. As it evaporates, it cools everything on the inside. And it can do that for a day to 2 days, 3 days. You just keep adding water. It's phenomenal. I got to see it when I was what's the name? Havasupai Falls. They actually were doing that to keep some of their stuff cold when I was down there, because they didn't have electricity to all the homes.
Very dry air.
So it was fascinating to watch them actually do that. And then, like, we've been doing this for years. We just don't have electricity right now, so we're going to use this.
Wow.
That's a lot better than what I was told in Argentina, to drink hot soup when it's hot outside.
That's true. Cool. I was in Uruguay, and you drink your hot mate, right? You drink
the mate,
and then that makes you feel cool, right? Because you're drinking it, and then you're cool. I mean, maybe that works, but I think only in your mind, right? In your head.
Right.
Yeah. Was that like psychological, or did you actually feel cooler?
They're drinking this hot, almost boiling drink in the middle of summer, and I'm not getting it.
Well, you get hotter on the inside, so it's cooler from the outside, so it cools your skin. That's what I was told.
That's awesome.
The hotter you are on the inside, the cooler you are on the outside.
I'll make some hot tea then.
That sounds like some bro science for sure.
So yeah, Mike says EMP shield for auto and home. I don't know, honestly, Mike, if I believe in those. If I've heard, I mean, they're very expensive, and you need one for every car and your house, and that's thousands and thousands of dollars, right? And I know the military supposedly use that. I'm not sold on it. I'm not sold on that. Will stop the damage from your vehicle, and I'm not sold on whether an EMP will actually damage a vehicle. Back in the what was the event, the big event back in the 1800s that caught telegraph stations on fire. It was that all the copper wires that were run, just like our power grid, was a big antenna, and that collected the energy and started fires. I believe that's a problem. We can disconnect our homes from the grid. We know these things are coming. You listen to Ben Davidson, I remember the name there, Suspicious Observers. He'll tell you when one's coming. And you can go and turn your switch off to your house, turn the main power disconnect off to your house, and that will disconnect you from the grid. So potentially, limiting, at least hopefully not starting a fire in your home, right? That's kind of the main reason there if we've got an EMP coming. But maybe we're stuck a little bit too much on EMPs at this point. But power, big deal in the summer.
Sure.
If you can strategically relocate and get out of those areas, that's my first bit of advice.
The elderly have it made. They know. Go north in the summer.
Yeah, that's true.
South in the winter.
Snowbirds. Yeah.
Those snowbirds have got it figured out. And historically, the Native Americans, right? The Native people used to, a lot of them, especially out here in the West states, they would go north in the winter or in the summers and south in the winters. They would follow the animals because the animals did that. Mm-hmm. So if the animals have the common sense to get out of the area and they're built for the area, we should follow suit.
Carrington event, yes,
right?
Marcy. Yeah, and it'd be nice to live in Alaska. You don't even need refrigerators in the winter or freezers, right? I don't know what time of year that switches, but then again, you got your challenges in the winter to heat. I mean, if you got enough wood stove, that's a lot easier, in my opinion, than trying to stay cool in Phoenix and in Las Vegas in the middle of summer. Absolutely.
Well, those Arab guys, I'm sorry if I'm doing anything inappropriate, but they wear those wear like all the whole outfit, and they say that the reason why they do that is because it kind of gets them, their sweat can stay in that garment. And then that garment, as the wind blows, the garment keeps them cool because their sweat stays in the garment as they're, and I thought, well, that's a strange thing, but that's something that, I watched. And the reason why I say the Arabs is because I remember watching the old movie Lawrence of Arabia, and those guys, that was a great movie, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it before, but anyways, these outfits that they wear give them the ability to have that as the wind blows and as the sweat keeps them cool. So
it's like hanging. It's like hanging the curtains in front of the windows. It's the curtains in front of the windows, just like Scott was telling us.
Yeah. So like those steel suits in Dune, right?
Oh yeah.
Those things are awesome. I got the blue eyes.
I got 3 of those. No, I'm just kidding. I don't have.
That would be good to have.
So we're talking about bugging in. I mean, we've talked about sheltering in place, and it seems to me, I watch a lot of these YouTube channels, a lot of these other prepper channels, and it seems to me everybody's starting to catch on and learning that bugging out is not a good idea. It seemed like for a long time I was just hearing about, this is how you bug out. This is your bug out bag. This, you got to get ready to bug out. It just was a hot topic, and it really doesn't make sense to bug out unless, for example, you're like me. I have a place in the mountains. I've got stuff there already, and if we get an EMP and the vehicles don't work, okay, I can eventually walk there, right? And I don't have to carry everything I need because I got a lot of stuff there already. In my opinion, that's the only way bugging out works. Yeah,
back it up. What the term we hear bugging out, a lot of times people think it's I'm just abandoning and going to the wilderness to live. Bug out that's not what that means. No. But that's what everyone thinks. That's what everyone's been educated lately on. It's a military term used for strategic relocation. This area is compromised. We're moving to a heavily fortified location, secondary location, tertiary location, to make sure our forces can be safe together, right? You're going to reinforcements. And so if you don't have reinforcements, where are you going? What do you think's going to happen? This is you're not going to you're not Matt Graham. You're not Cody Lundeen. You're not Nicola Pellion. You're not going to walk around in the woods and be like, "Hi, bear," and I'm going to eat this salmon today, and I'm gonna just forage through this patch over here and find every edible item I can.
Wait.
And I've never had any practice.
What if it's Bear Grylls? Because then I can say, "Hey, Bear."
Well, then you can go pee and drink your pee.
I can say, "Hi, Bear," at least,
and you can stay in a hotel between shoots.
scenes,
right? And shoot right off the freeway and muffle your mics. But the reality is you want to stay where you have the most fortifications. You want to stay where you have the most tools at your disposal and where all of your resources are. That's why it's so much more important to build a community around you and have additional resources and work with the people who you want to work with and who want to work with you. And the ones that don't are the ones you have to unfortunately turn away in those crisis moments.
Yep.
You know, hey, I've had plenty of opportunities to talk to this guy, Joe, and his wife, and we've tried to talk to him about getting prepared and being more involved. And they said no. Well, now they're showing up hungry. I'm sorry, you're going to have to go find the National Guard and see what they can do for you.
Yeah.
We can't help you. Right. That's hard to do, but you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Historically, go ahead, Chris.
One of the things I have, when I travel abroad, I have my old crap pocket, and I put $300 in it because I figure someone will kill you over 20, but maybe not over 300. And I put my passport in there, and I keep my passport card in my in the hotel, right? And that way they know they've got something of value on me, and I can't leave or whatever. And I tell people they should do that if there's an emergency situation. They should have a old crap kitchen, right? Have some of your food out there and some of your freeze-dried stuff, using it. Say, hey, I'd like to share with you. This is what we have. And the whole idea behind it, my old crap pocket or the whole old crap kitchen is to buy you time to make a decision, right? Do I hunker down and stay, or do I feel the risk is too high and I take off, right? But at least it buys you some time to make a decision, because, everyone always talks about, I want to start chucking lead down range, Well, once you start throwing lead, everyone's bleeding. And the best part is to avoid the confrontation and get to a safer place, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a question asked in the chat. I live in a city. What do I do? Backroads responded with, when the city is hit, you don't want to be staying where you want to work. You want to walk out, right? It's not going to work out there. You want to get out. Here's the thing. It goes back to the bugging out. You have to have a secondary and tertiary location to go to. When I teach people about preparedness, the first thing I focus on is putting your plan together. You're going to stay as long as you can where you are. If you're not, if you're in a huge city like New York, you want to move now, right? You don't want to stay there. If you're in LA, you don't want to stay there. Oh, it's wonderful. I like 3 hours of gridlock. Yeah, no. You want to get yourself to a place where you feel safe now. But if you can't, you need to work with family members outside the city, outside the state, right? Your secondary and tertiary, outside the county. Like, you start outside the city, then you go outside the county, and then you go outside the state, right? As your backups. Whether it's civil unrest, whether it's an earthquake, whether it's flooding, right? We're having some fun with that here in Utah and across the nation. You need to be able to move around if you need to, but have someone that you've already predetermined that it's okay to come to their place, and have a method to put some of your stuff there if possible now, or have them okay with you not being able to bring anything in that crisis. Because if you have to just leave and ditch, you've got to ditch, but you've got to have somewhere to go. Otherwise, where are you going?
Yeah, and I think a big part of that plan is watching what's going on, and then already having decided when you're going to leave, because you have to leave early. If you're leaving when everybody else leaves, you're not going to get out.
Yeah.
And for example, me, I was jokingly saying I could walk to my place, and I could by myself, but I have family members that have other health issues that they would not be able to walk there. We have to drive. We have to take other transportation there. And yes, like a lot of comments here, I would love to have a carbureted vehicle. That's one of the next things on my list, is to have a carbureted vehicle, and I could get the family there. That's a big concern for me.
One of the things I gave my kids one year for Christmas was a compass and an atlas. And if no one knows what an atlas is, it's a map that we used to, remember the old Rand McNally ones? Oh, I've driven off the page. Go to page 89. No.
Yeah, I keep one in all of my vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you have one there. That way, you know how to get there. And I marked, places where they can meet and say, and here's how you can get there without going on the main roads.
Yep.
Mhm.
Right.
Well, and also like get your U.S. Department, your forest land maps, get your topographical maps, and learn how to understand topography, so that you know, can I get over this hill? And is there somewhere safe to be, or is this a bad idea? Before you start trudging up a giant mountainside, right? Also, like, this is great advice. If you're in an area that people are starting to loot, make your place look like it's already been looted. Make your place look extremely undesirable.
Mhm.
That goes back to the gray man tactic, right? And it's easier to do if you have some supplies on hand to help do that, right? What are some good things to have? Cans of spray paint, broken panels of wood, right? Maybe an extra window inside the garage sitting there so you can bust it and throw glass around the outside of your other window. Make it look like it's already been broken. There's some things you can do to make things look less desirable.
Mhm.
Do those things.
Another thing that's not necessarily just in the same topic, but anciently there were civilizations that had more of a nomadic kind of a traveling going around, and you have to have a certain level of skills for that. And whenever there was I remember a story in history where a group of people that were more like the hunter gatherers came up against a city of people that were hunkered down, and they had seeds and they had grain and they had stuff that they had stored and they had really done, and they tried to lay siege against this group, this city, and they couldn't. They couldn't lay siege long enough, because as they would go, they were more hunter gatherer, warriors, and they would go out and try to, hunt deer and hunt squirrel and hunt beaver and hunt whatever it was. And all that stuff ran out. But the people with the grain and the seeds and the gardens inside the city walls were able to last, and they outlast, like, for years. They just outlasted them because they had the stuff. And that's the power of bugging in any situation, where if you have the ability to keep yourself safe. Now, they had to protect themselves for sure.
They were fortified.
They were fortified. They had protection. They had other things that were involved with their, but they had the stuff they needed inside that fortification to last. And they could outlast anybody that tried to lay siege against them. And they, after a couple of years, they ran everybody off, and they were able to go back out to their farmland and enjoy and that was something that happened in a historical setting, which is a true principle. And it goes along with what we're talking here today, that it's important for us to know what we have and fortify our area. And that's one of the things that we see with above Chris there in his, if you're watching on YouTube, he's got a bunch of weapons there that protect against and fortify against anything that you might need, but also having the capacity, skill sets to grow food, have grow boxes, have greenhouses, have the ability to, make food. There's a lot of people without electricity. You might say, well, I got all the ingredients to make bread. Well, yeah, but do you have a bread maker? Yeah, but do you have a grinder, a wheat grinder that's non-electric? There's some. Do you have tools that are? Everybody's got power. Everybody's got power tools, So one of the things I bought, I went out and bought a solar oven. I think a solar oven is a great way to learn how to cook in the summertime.
Yeah, I have a whisk attachment for this, as well as drill bits.
Well, you just cut off a whisk, the end of a whisk, you stick it in there, and you could use it that way too, right?
That's what I did.
Oh, okay, that's your whisk attachment.
I bought one at the dollar store, and it's just one of the cheap metal ones. Yeah. I popped the bag, the little handle off, and it's just all the spines. They fit in here. I can cinch it up, and they don't move. Nice. And I've already tested it. It works. But you also have to grind your wheat, right? And if you don't have electricity, how do you do that? You do it between two flat stones. Right. It's going to take longer. We go back. Like, here's the cool thing. If things go super sideways and we don't have power and we're living like they used to, guess what? You've got time to take care of those things, but it's a lot easier if you prep first and have them ready to go when you need it. And you have, like, I'm going to have to go find 2 stones if it gets down to that, right? Well, I have a manual wheat grinder, so I can just sit here like this for an hour and get a few cups.
Yeah, so something that you guys know I say all the time. I might just say it again, right? If we're looking forward to loss of power, a lot of these things. Looking forward in time, we just need to look further back in time to learn how to live forward in time. So look to the past to prepare for the future. It's something I say all the time. So look to see how your grandparents lived, your great grandparents, and then start to get the manual tools and those type and the shovels and so those types of things that don't require power, that are really fairly inexpensive, but require some muscle power, some energy, some strength, and some health to do. And then just that's a great way to prepare, if you ask me.
And I think also you need to have enough food stored to make it over that learning curve, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then that curve will kill you. You know, you can learn those skills. You know, if you haven't practiced them, which, let's be honest, most people probably haven't. So you have to have some sort of sustainability so that you can learn those skills, right? And it's not like they're difficult, but if you learn the skills, then you're going to be all right.
I think it's a really important opportunity now is summertime and as spring and summer kind of come in, there's a lot of plants that are out in full bloom, and it's an opportunity for us to go out and learn how to forage. Because once your food storage goes out, you're going to need to learn how to replenish that food storage. And, if you can hunt, great. And that's a skill set that takes time. But also foraging and learning how to forage and identify plants in your area is going to be a great opportunity to keep going. And now's a good time to go out and start looking around in the fields.
As well as trap lines, netting fish. Obviously you've got to look, disclaimer, you've got to look to see what's legal in your area for you to do.
Trapping and such in particular, right? Yeah.
Right. So you've got to pay attention to those things and then learn what you can. There's a great event coming up, Rabbit Stick. They hold it a couple times. There's the they hold that this spring or fall, and maybe both, but it's wilderness living skills, trapping, all those fun things, right? There's also the Fort Bridger Mountain Men series that's going on all summer long into the fall. You can come out and learn mountain man skills, Dutch oven cooking, how to catch different types of wildlife, how to identify different types of food, how to live off the land in historic times, what our ancestors did when they first came to the West, right? What our ancestors did when they first landed in the United States. There's so many different things you can learn and do by going to cool events to do that. Oh, there's another cool one coming up June 2nd and 3rd here in near Salt Lake City, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake. There's going to be the Be Prepared Expo. That's why Chris is here. He's one of our friends. He runs that. Come to that event. Go to bepreparedexpo.com and you can get your tickets.
Yeah, Scott, that Rabbit Stick is September 10th through 16th. And that's in Idaho.
Yeah.
It looks like it's their 35th annual Rabbit Stick Primitive Skills Conference. But I was also thinking, you're talking about all these, like Rabbit Stick, that would make a nice summer vacation. I mean, it's after summer. It's good. Kids are in school at that point, right?
Get your kids in homeschool now.
Get your
RV. You can take that as an education.
Get your bug out vehicle. Get your RV that you're going to bug out with, right? Yep. And go up to Rabbit Stick or somewhere and make that your family vacation. But you could also do the staycation, the bug in staycation, and practice your bugging in as a family vacation. I see so many people spending so much money going to the Disney places, right? That I won't get into that, right? That'll just get me riled up a lot. But spend so much money that you could actually put towards preps and skills instead of going on a traditional, more modern family vacation. I think that's a bunch of hooey.
Yeah, I think it's important to really figure out what are some skills that you want to learn. And here we are in a great opportunity for summertime, spring, summer. Go out and practice. It's easier to hike. It's easier to camp. It's easier to learn how to start a fire. It's easier to learn how to build a shelter in the spring and summer than it is in the winter. But if you've practiced in the summertime and in the springtime, and even in the fall, you're going to be all the more capable if you actually have an SHTF experience when there's winter months during those winter months. We have four seasons in real America. You have 4 seasons. In California, there's only 2, hot summer and cold summer. But in most places, there's 4 seasons. So you have a 25% chance you're going to end up with a crap hits the fan in the wintertime. So you have a 75% chance of not. Practice in the times where it's good. That way you're ready to go. And even practice in the winter, it gets you prepared and ready to go. I think that's one of the things that I want to do is I want to kind of go up into the mountains now that the snow is melting. I want to go up into the mountains and kind of see and feel and hike and get some of my skill sets built up. And that's kind of some of the things that I'm planning on doing for this summer.
Yeah, just getting a higher level of comfort in those situations, right? And getting your kids out into those situations so that when you're in that situation, it's just like we've done this before. It's like camping. This is like camping, but maybe an extended camp, right? But that really does a lot in our family to get them familiarized. Oh, we've done this before, no big deal, so they're not nervous. That's a lot to in my home to take into account, that there's a lot of needs for every one of us. Yes, it'd be best to bug in, but maybe the situation is that we need to bug out. Maybe there's a fire or whatever it might be.
Right. And maybe if you have to sleep, go camping if you've never been camping before. You could do that in your backyard. See what it feels like to sleep on the ground in a sleeping bag.
Yeah,
and put up a little tent, and get some sort of experience so you have some measured expectations. So if something happens, you're just like, you may be prepared stuff wise, but you're not prepared mentally.
Yeah,
that's a big part of it. Totally.
I think mental preparedness is critical and key. So I think Scott, are we ready for the rollout? Yes. Okay. I hope everybody's excited, because we're going to end with the last couple minutes here. We're going to end with the random roll. So here's how it goes. Here's how it's going to go. Just as a reminder, we're going to do this randomizer. Everybody in our Facebook group is named on here, looks like. And we're going to click the button. It's going to randomly select one winner. That the first winner is going to get the Jace case. We're going to reach out to you in our Facebook group. Hopefully you'll be there, and we'll message you. And if you respond in the next 7 days, we're going to give you the code, because you still have to go on to jacemedical.com and fill out all the information for them to make sure that they're giving you the proper case with the proper antibiotics, because it's tailor-made to your specific situation. So you got to do that. But we'll have a code that we'll give you so that Jace case is zero cost to you. The next thing we're going to do is the 5-ounce silver bar. So we're going to do two winners tonight. The 5-ounce silver bar is going to be somebody that is also in our Facebook group. We're going to reach out to you, and if you are reaching out, then we're going to give you an address, or you're going to give us your address, and Shane is going to be able to mail you that 5-ounce silver bar. So I'm pretty excited. It
will be shipped insured as well. So
the only caveat, you don't have to necessarily be in the group. You have to have been following us on YouTube. It's best if you're in the group as well, but you've got to show us that you're following us on YouTube to be able to qualify. That's the qualifier. So we're going to pull your name off this list. It's the combined list of both.
Oh, cool.
Okay, that was the one thing we've always said. You've got to show us that you're following us on YouTube, because not all the YouTube show through to us. And so we'll just ask you to verify that. But without further ado, you guys ready to see who's going to win this stuff?
Let's do it.
Quick. Jessica wants to know what group. It's the emergency prep and self-reliance on Facebook. Jessica, that's the one.
Go. Scott would have to add you in here.
If you're already on here, the whole rule was you had to be up before we started the broadcast. So
we're good. We're good.
If for some chance the winner doesn't claim it, and you join between now and next week, and we have to reraffle or
reraffle whatever.
Then you'll find out then. We'll add everybody else in. Ready? Dun, 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 dun. So for the Jace case, here we go. We are spinning. I like those cool sound effects.
I don't hear anything.
You don't hear the clicking?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Yeah. I only put
there we go. Shell bell. We're going to take a screenshot of that so we don't lose it. Boom.
Congratulations to Shell Bell. You've got the next. We're going to reach out on our Facebook group to message you in Messenger. Hopefully you get it. If you get it, then shoot us back a message and we'll get you the code so you can do that. If not, we're gonna re-raffle it next Wednesday.
All right, ready for the 5-ounce silver bar. Bom, bom, bom. It's clicking. Click, 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 click. Kind of like Bob Barker and his big wheel. He's spinning the wheel of fortune.
Oh, nice.
Boom. Stacy Talbot's calling. Hey, that's my aunt.
Oh, is she disqualified?
I thought family was fair game. I don't know. I took all of us out of the winning except for Chris. But she just won a 5-ounce silver bar for being there. So everybody's just got to show us. You got to show us that you are following us on YouTube. If you're in the group, if you're one of these 2 winners, congratulations. That's pretty awesome.
Congratulations.
And to disqualify or to give a little room, she's actually married to my uncle, which makes her not a blood relative. I don't know if that matters or not.
All right.
I don't know.
And you saw it was totally random. It was. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Could have been anybody. Well, that's it. That is our 2 winners.
Thank you guys so much. Thanks for being a part of us, of the Prepper Talk Radio community. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for helping us get to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Now we're going to try to hopefully get to the watch hours necessary to get monetized over there, so we can continue to support the show as we move forward. Click all the links in our description. If you need a service or product or something, we would love for you to get it through our links, as it supports the show and keeps us going, and keeps us excited to move forward. Please remember to stay ready-minded and be prepared and be ready. You've been listening to Prepper Talk Radio, radio for the ready-minded, where we focus on God, family, and country. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on the next one.
Next week.
Bye.
So his goal